Welcome back. Today we're talking about something that almost every young adult wrestles with at some point in life. To be honest, I think most adults in their older years continue to wrestle with it, and that is purpose. Why am I here? What am I supposed to do with my life? How do I know if I'm on the right path? What career should I choose? What if I make the wrong decision? Maybe you've asked these questions before. Maybe you're asking them right now. For many students, graduation creates excitement and anxiety at the same time. On one hand, you're excited about the future, and on the other, you're suddenly responsible for making decisions that feel incredibly important. And somewhere in the middle of that is uncertainty. There's this desire to know what your life and that your life matters. The good news is that God is not hiding your purpose from you. In fact, Jesus gave us one of the clearest answers to the purpose question anywhere in Scripture. And it's probably not the answer our culture would give. The world says purpose is found by focusing on yourself. Jesus said purpose is found by serving others. Over the next few minutes, we're going to unpack what it means and why it can completely change the way you look at your future. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever noticed that no matter how different people are, they all seem to be chasing the same thing? Significance. We want to know our lives matter. We want to know that our existence makes a difference. We want to know that when our life is over, something meaningful happened because we were here. The search for purpose is really a search for significance. It's why students stress about choosing a college major or what they're going to do after high school. It's why adults stress about career decisions. It's why people compare themselves to others on social media. It's why so many people are afraid of failure. Deep down, we're asking, do I matter? When I was younger, I thought purpose was something you discovered once and then never questioned it again. I thought that there would be some magical moment where God handed me a blueprint and suddenly everything made sense. Instead, I've discovered that purpose often unfolds one faithful step at a time. Looking back over my life, many of the moments that shaped my purpose weren't moments I planned. Working in human services, supporting with people with disabilities, helping students navigate difficult situations, teaching crisis intervention, coaching behavior, mentoring parents, none of those things were a part of some grand master plan I created when I was 18 years old. But God used each of those experiences to teach me something important. Purpose isn't always found by asking, what do I want to become? Sometimes purpose is discovered by asking, who needs my help today? That's a very different question. And it's the question Jesus constantly asked. The world's message is different. The world says, build your own platform, grow your influence, get more followers, make more money, become successful, make a name for yourself. And if we're honest, those messages can be incredibly attractive. I don't think very few people, if any, wake up and say, I hope I stay unnoticed for the rest of my life. We all like recognition. We all enjoy some level of accomplishment. We all appreciate some success. But there's a problem. Success makes a terrible savior. Because no matter how much success you achieve, it's never enough. You can always earn more money. You can always gain more followers. You can always win another award. You can always accomplish something bigger. The finish line keeps moving. And that's why so many successful people still feel empty. They climbed the ladder only to discover it was leaning against the wrong wall. One of the most surprising lessons you'll learn in life is that fulfillment and success are not always the same thing. Some of the happiest people I've ever met had very ordinary jobs. And some of the most miserable people I've ever met were extremely successful. Why? Because fulfillment doesn't come from being the center of your own story. Fulfillment comes from being a part of God's story. And God's story is always bigger than us. That's exactly where Jesus takes this conversation next. When Jesus began teaching his disciples, they often thought about greatness the same way we do. They wanted influence, they wanted recognition, and they wanted important positions. At one point, they literally were arguing about who would be the greatest. Can you imagine that? Walking alongside Jesus himself and debating which one of you was the most important? But before we're too hard on them, we should recognize something. We do the same thing. We compare ourselves constantly. Who has more success? Who's more talented? Who gets more attention? Who has the best opportunities? Who seems further ahead? Comparison has always been one of Satan's favorite tools because it keeps our focus on ourselves. Jesus responded to his disciples by completely redefining greatness. He said that in his kingdom, greatness wasn't measured by how many people serve you. Greatness was measured by how many people you serve. That's the exact opposite of what most people believe. And yet, Jesus wasn't just teaching a principle. He was describing his own life. Listen carefully to these words. For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. This verse never stops amazing me. Jesus is the King of Kings, the creator of the universe, the one worthy of all praise and worship. And yet in Mark 10:45, he says it's his purpose to serve. If anyone deserved to be served, it was Jesus. Think about the implications of that. If Jesus found purpose through serving others, why would we expect to find purpose any other way? The greatest life ever lived was a life of service. Jesus healed people, fed people, encouraged people, comforted people, taught people. Ultimately, he gave his life for people. His purpose wasn't found in self-promotion. It was found in self-sacrifice. And that's where our purpose begins as well. Not by asking, how can I become important? But by asking, how can I help someone today? Let me tell you about my first real job. At the time, I didn't think I was learning anything profound. I was just trying to earn a paycheck. I wasn't thinking about purpose. I wasn't thinking about leadership, and I certainly wasn't thinking about any kind of ministry. I was simply trying to do my job. But looking back, I can see that God was teaching me lessons that would shape the rest of my life. I learned responsibility. I learned what it meant to show up when I didn't feel like it. I learned that people were dependent on me. I learned that work wasn't only about what I received. It was also about what I contributed. What I didn't realize then was that God often teaches us purpose through ordinary responsibilities. Many people are waiting for some huge opportunity before they start living with purpose. But purpose is usually developed long before the big opportunities arrive. It's developed in faithfulness. It's developed in showing up. It's developed in serving well when nobody is watching. The habits you build in small opportunities prepare you for larger ones later. And that's exactly how God often works. One of the greatest surprises about serving others is that it changes us. When we serve, we tend to focus on how it helps other people, and it does. But service also transforms the servant. It teaches humility, it develops patience, it strengthens compassion, it builds perseverance, it grows empathy. Over the years, I've worked with students, families, individuals with significant disabilities, and people facing lots of crisis. And I've discovered something. Every single person has a story. Every person carries burdens we cannot see. Every person is fighting battles we may never know about. Serving people as a way of opening our eyes to that reality. Suddenly, life becomes less about ourselves, and we begin to notice needs. We begin paying attention to others. We begin seeing people the way Jesus sees them. And when that happens, our hearts start to change. That's one of God's greatest purposes in service. He's not only using us to help others, he's using others to shape us. Most people want significance. The question is where significance comes from. The world says significance comes from accomplishment. Jesus says significance comes from contribution. Think about the people who have impacted your life. Maybe it's a teacher, a coach, a parent, a pastor, a friend, a mentor. What made them important to you? Usually it wasn't because they were famous. It wasn't because they were wealthy or even powerful. It was because they invested in you. They cared. They showed up. They helped. They encouraged. They contributed something meaningful to your life. That's significance. Not what we accumulate, but what we give away. And the beautiful thing is that every single person can live that kind of life. I think one of the biggest lies we believe at times is that small acts just don't matter. We think it's just a text. It's just a small conversation. It's just helping someone for a few minutes. It's just volunteering. But God's kingdom rarely works through what the world calls impressive. It often works through ordinary faithfulness. A kind word at the right moment, an encouraging note, a listening ear, a simple prayer, a helping hand. Those moments may seem small to us, but they can become life-changing moments for someone else. Never underestimate what God can do through a simple act of kindness or a simple act of obedience. You may never fully know the impact your faithfulness has on another person's life, but God knows. And nothing done for him is ever wasted. One of the most common questions people ask at times, and especially students, is what if I don't know my gifts? What if I don't know what I'm really good at? The good news is that discovering your gifts and talents often happen through serving. You don't discover gifts by sitting on the sidelines. You discover them by getting involved. Some people discover they can teach. Others discover they can lead. Others discover they just have the gift for encouragement. Some are gifted organizers, some are gifted creators, some are just gifted listeners. Some are gifted servants. The point isn't comparing gifts. The point is using them. God didn't give you abilities simply so you could feel special. He gave them to you so you could bless others. Purpose begins when what God placed in you starts flowing through you. Let's slow down for a moment and take an honest look at your life. Who benefits from your life right now? Who are you helping? Who are you encouraging? Who are you investing in? Who would notice if you stopped serving tomorrow? I want to be very clear. These questions aren't meant to create guilt. They are meant to create awareness. Because purpose often grows where service already exists. Sometimes we keep searching for purpose while overlooking opportunities that are sitting right in front of us. The people God has placed in your life right now may be the very people He is calling you to serve. I'm going to give you a challenge this week, and that is to serve one person anonymously. Do something kind without taking credit. Maybe it's paying for someone's meal, leaving an encouraging note, helping a neighbor who has a need, offer some support, but don't tell anyone that you're doing it. Don't post it online. Don't seek recognition. Just serve. Why? Because anonymous service helps purify our motives. It reminds us that service isn't about applause. It's about love. And sometimes the greatest growth happens when nobody knows what we've done except God. As we finish today, I want you to remember something. Your purpose is bigger than a career. It's bigger than a paycheck. It's bigger than success. It's bigger than achievement. Those things may become a part of your journey, but they are not the source of your purpose. Purpose is found in becoming more like Jesus, and Jesus served. The more we learn to serve, the more we can discover who God created us to be. So don't spend your life asking only, what do I want to do? Also ask, who can I help? Because somewhere on the other side of that question, you'll begin discovering the purpose you've been looking for all along. Next time, we'll explore anchor number 4, friendships shape your future. And we'll discover why the people you choose to walk through life with often determine the direction of your future.